Time for the hot topic of the hour. President Biden addressed the nation last night for the first time since dropping out of the 2024 race. He did so from the Oval Office. Watch.
When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country, is larger than any one of us. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. But there's also a time and a place for new voices, and that time and place is now.
And the Wall Street Journal editorial board reacting with a piece this morning. Biden ducks the farewell question, writing, quote, President Biden explained his abrupt departure from the presidential campaign in a speech to the nation Wednesday evening. Actually, no, he didn't, writes the Journal. But why was he all in for re-election 5 days ago, but all out now? He didn't say, writes the editorial board. I mean, Joe, we know that there are mental capacity issues here, cognitive issues. The president didn't touch it at all.
And why at this point would they still be denying it? It's okay for the president to have cognitive decline at his age. This is not something that's abnormal for men and women of his age to do.
Yeah, but I think, you know, when you say why wouldn't they address it, I think it's obvious because when you address it to say I have cognitive issues, the next question becomes how are you running the White House?
Look, that was the question that everyone who watched that speech, who tuned in, wanted to hear the answer to. Instead, they got two totally separate things. They had a sort of a search for accolades by a man who was trying to find some support for his agenda over the past 3 years. He's the only one, by the way, who thinks that the Joe Biden administration did this bang-up job. And the second part was really to go all in on Kamala Harris. He used the Oval Office, which is somewhat unprecedented, to really single out that he wants his successor to be his vice presidential candidate. That's not something we normally see from Oval Office speeches.
Yeah, it's a great point. And Rebecca, the issue that he keeps going back to is that he has to save democracy. And that Trump is a threat to democracy. Isn't that one of the, you know, pieces of rhetoric that everyone's saying that the Democrats have been using that are causing people to go crazy, like perhaps the shooter?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so obviously they can't address his feebleness because that would be potentially a 25th Amendment issue that would end the presidency for him before, obviously, January of next year. So that's the reason they're not addressing it head on. However, it doesn't make sense. You can't reconcile the two. But the fact that he keeps talking about saving the democracy. Yeah. This is the administration that has not saved the democracy. We have open borders. I know they're trying to unwind that Kamala was actually the one in charge of the border in the mainstream media. But
they want to rewrite history on that
we know that she was the border czar and that we have open borders. We just had all the Democrats vote against a law that the House Republicans passed that would prevent illegal aliens from voting in the election by making sure they had IDs. So, you know, Maria, I don't understand this constant beating of a drum that Donald Trump is the one affecting democracy when this administration has stood everything against democracy and all of their policies.
In fact, he did it last night, Todd. He said he's going to reform the Supreme Court. Right. How is that saving democracy if you're actually going to the Constitution and trying to change it?
And how is it saving democracy when the person that the Democratic Party installed as the candidate received 0 votes to campaign as a presidential candidate
point,
in Kamala Harris? So the democracy was one theme from the speech that was supposed to give us an answer as to why he's no longer going to be running. The second theme was unity. So the Democrats are clearly trying to drive home, we're as unified as you are, if not more, Republicans. We saw what you did in Milwaukee last week, and we're going to raise you. Okay, if your party is so unified, then how come two things? You have Black Lives Matter saying, the way that they installed Kamala Harris is wrong. They shouldn't have. That's Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's
an organization propped up by the Democrats for basically the last decade. And two, Where's Barack Obama,
Well, he's
the leader
pulling the
of your
strings.
party? Where is he in endorsing Kamala if you're so unified?
Well, that's a great point. He has yet to endorse so. Look, today marks 1 month since President Biden's disastrous debate with former President Trump. Fox News' Peter Doocy pressed the White House Secretary Jean-Pierre about whether the administration tried to cover up Biden's obvious cognitive decline. Watch.
Ordered White House officials to cover up a declining president.
There's been no cover-up. I want to be very clear about that. I know that's the narrative that you all want. Wait, no, you can't. Okay.
I've been with President Biden for 5 years.
Are you going to let me answer the question?
Would you at least admit that the debate was not just a bad night?
Wait. Can I answer the question?
Yes.
All right. Are you sure?
Yes.
It is not easy making a decision that the president made on Sunday. And so the fact that he was able to make that decision in a selfless way, that's admirable.
Admirable, but doesn't say anything about his cognitive decline and the cover-up of it. The former president taking aim at Biden's vice presidential President Kamala Harris now about what she knew about Biden's mental decline. President Trump did so at his rally in North Carolina yesterday. Watch.
If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country. In a year, this country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure.
All those meetings over the last few years with Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, coming out of meetings with Joe Biden, saying how vibrant and wonderful he was in the meetings. We're going to take a look at that and come back.